You've got the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. I'm Chris Davis, your host, and today, Eric Stracener, Esquire, a Mississippi attorney and songwriter. He's got a brand new album called Superchief.
Sweetheart, you never deserve this. Always my shy, quiet one. The world gets heavy and it hurts us. Rain falls after the sun. I know you can't understand. This was never the plan, and I'm not saying goodbye.
Well, I was listening to some of the songs on the album, and I wondered immediately, what genre is this? Is this, do you call it Americana?
I suppose. I'm American, and, you know, it's not punk rock and it's not hip hop, and, you know, I'm not sure what Americana means other than, you know, it's pretty identifiable as kind of rootsy music, you know?
Well, that's a good point, because I think a lot of things now are classified as Americana if they have an acoustic sound to them and they have a stand-up bass.
Well, yeah, for sure. And a lot of things that don't even have those two things are classified as Americana. So to me, I can tell you what it means to me for what it's worth. It's kind of like rootsy or even folky or country tinged music that is not kind of what I would call pop country, which to me is kind of a easily identifiable genre of music. And you know, I know what it's not. It's not that.
And it's not this kind of, you know, postmodern stuff that we got going on now. That's all electronic either, obviously. This stuff is it's quite
right.
organic.
Right. I think that's very insightful. Yeah. Mostly Americana music to me is kind of organic sounding.
Well, you know, I think Americana, I think the roots of that terminology came from perhaps back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when we had a resurgence in popularity of more traditional music. We had the soundtrack to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which got a lot of people excited about it, and we had a lot of acoustic acts. We had Levon Helm coming back in 2006 and 7 with, I can't recall the name of the album right offhand. It was one of my favorites, though. And
absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a kind of a glut of that for a little while.
Yeah, and I can tell you bands like Sunbolt and Wilco and groups like that certainly were big. The Bottle Rockets and some other ones in the 90s, and you know, I think a lot of other bands sort of got the idea that it was okay to not have to pretend that you were British. You know, that it was okay to be from the South, and it was okay to be a little bit country-ish. That was just fine. And you know, that I like that. I like that those bands gave other folks permission. I tell you, a big band for me was Blue Mountain. When I was in law school, they were, to me, the best band from Oxford, and they were really great. And I got to see them a lot because, you know, they live there. And to me, they sort of embodied Americana music.
Now, are you still in Oxford?
No, I live in Madison, outside of Jackson.
Okay, so you're close to the metro these days, and you're able to play metro gigs.
Yep, I do. Mostly lately, where have I played lately? Hal & Mal's, played at the Bean. I really loved playing there. And if I had to pick a favorite, probably it's Blaylock Gallery. It's this very small listening room in Ridgeland, in Old Town Ridgeland. And it's great. It sounds beautiful, and it's real casual, fun place to play.
Now, I've talked to a lot of Mississippi artists lately, and they all seem to agree, and I don't know if you do, but there seems to be a hunger and an appetite for original music here in the past couple of years that has really cropped up, especially around the central part of the state.
Yeah, I hope so. And, you know, I think little things contribute to that, maybe. Having a really great record store, or we actually have a couple. That helps. You know, when some bands get some notoriety, that certainly helps. And I will say this too, coming out of COVID, 2 or 3 things happened. Folks were just dying to hear live music. And in the meantime, folks that were inclined to write songs were doing so like crazy because they didn't have all that much else to do.
Yes.
And I was certainly one of them. I played a lot of guitar and wrote a lot of songs during COVID. So maybe it wasn't all bad.
Now, how did you get started playing the guitar?
I was a late bloomer a little bit. My father was a guitar player and would play for us when we were kids. And then when my brother and I were in high school, he's my younger brother, but he was in a really good sort of punk band. And I don't know why, but I always just assumed that it was something that I couldn't do. And maybe I had tried it very briefly and didn't take to it, or I can't remember, honestly. But I just thought, well, I wish I could do that, but I can't. And it wasn't until my senior year of college that I started learning. And I'd always loved books, loved reading, loved music, and loved to write. I was an English major, so I was always reading and writing anyway. And so I got a late start. My roommate had a couple of guitars, and I just kind of started. But once I started, I never stopped. And I think because I got a late start, I figured out pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be, you know, a real shredder type guitar player. So I just started making up songs instead.
Well, that seemed to work well for people like John Prine, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So why not?
Absolutely. Yeah. They have this joke, you know, in Nashville that there's no money above the 3rd fret, you know, because all the great songs are written in first position, and there's some truth to that. So. I taught you never to lie. I know you can understand. This was never the plan. I won't say this hurts me more than you. I'll walk home in the snow with the Bellhaven Blues.
Coming up, does having an intense profession like the law influence your art? More conversation with Eric Stracener and performance coming up on the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. And this week, Eric Stracener and his new album, Superchief. Well, you've got a couple of kind of unique things about you. that I want to ask you about. One is that, like you said, you're an English major, a creative writer, someone who reads creative writing. How does that play into songwriting? And maybe you can talk about some of the stuff that you read that has influenced your songwriting.
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I think the main way it influences songwriting is when you start to study novels or poetry or any written literature, you start to look at, okay, well, how did they do this? Somebody's actually doing this. Somebody's writing this. I think you are thinking about their creative process, what they're trying to communicate. You know, that's all being an English major is sort of writing a lot of BS about what you think was on, what your take on a writer's meaning was. But that's almost like a perfect exercise for somebody who later might try to do something creative themselves. You know, you're thinking about why you would try to say something, and if so, well, how are you going to do it? How mechanically does it work? You know, what words spark you? You know, when I was in college and really starting to read and a lot and listen for what writers I liked. I was in Jackson, Mississippi going to college. So Eudora Welty sort of became apparent to me, and that was pretty amazing. And I would see her at the grocery store. So back to the point of, you actually saw a real person who was this world famous writer, but these novels don't come out of the sky. Somebody pecks away at a typewriter until they're done. She was big for me. Barry Hannah was somebody I really, really liked a lot. Richard Ford, I really liked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Flannery O'Connor, back in those days. I mean, I'm still constantly reading all the time.
Another thing that you've got going for you that's a little bit different, I think, than a lot of songwriters around here is that you are also an attorney at law. Has that played into your songwriting any?
I don't know. I've been asked that before, and I read and write all day long. And when you're doing that in my job, your job is to be as clear and concise as possible. And to put the hay down where the goats can get it, as one of my favorite judges said one time. Your job is to be clear and make your point and shut up.
To communicate well.
Yeah, and songwriting may be a little bit different. Sometimes I think I'm guilty. Well, whether or not I'm guilty, I do this sometimes. I think writing, sometimes you're a little coy, and sometimes you, have some wordplay and stuff like that. I can tell you this: it is a totally different enterprise to me, writing a song and writing a brief. They almost have nothing in common, and that's why I'm attracted to it.
Now about the track, Liar's Waltz. Whenever I first heard it, I thought I heard Neil Young influence in that.
I mean, guilty. Absolutely. He's one of my all-time favorites, and still is. So I'll take that.
Okay. Well, I think the message of the song seems, pretty clear. It's relationship stuff.
Yeah. I that popped into my head one time. I was in a real heated conversation where someone was not being honest with me, and I think this was happening over text, and we were ping-ponging text back and forth. And I think finally he asked me some question like, what is it that you think you know? And I just was like, okay, now we're dancing the liar's waltz, sort of playing footsie with the truth. That's how I got that idea. That one, there's not a whole lot of mystery in those lyrics. It's pretty much, it is what it sounds like it's about.
One step for the lovers, 2 steps away from the truth. Steps for the liars, God knows they got nothing to lose. 3 steps for the dreamers, full of hope, just before it all falls. We're all just drifting away on the old liar's walks. Your memory rolls in on a fog like a ghost in my head. We weren't quite ever in step. I can't remember who led. 3 steps for the dreamers, full of hope, just before it all falls. We're all just drifting away on the old liar's waltz. Now I know why you won't look in my eye. Step away. We all just wanna turn over the next new red leaf. We all just want a new chance to suspend disbelief. 3 steps for the dreamers, full of hope, just before it all falls. We're all just drifting away on the old liar's waltz. Now I know why you won't look in my eye anymore. Now I know why you won't look in my eye.
You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 1039 WYAB. You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 1039 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. I'm Chris Davis, your host, and this week, Eric Stracener, singer-songwriter, lover of literature, and attorney at law.
Yeah, I suppose if I'm lucky, it's at least artistic. Whether or not it's art, again, that's somebody else's call. But yeah, I when I'm writing a brief, I have a job to do for somebody else. Always, it's not me. I'm working for somebody and trying to help them. But when I'm writing a song, I don't even really ever think about who might be listening to it. I only think about whether or not I like it. And that's a luxury, frankly, probably of having a day job. And, you know, I if I like it, then to me it's good. And if I don't like it, then I'm going to ditch it or never play it for anybody or never finish it or keep working on it until I do like it.
Well, Superchief sounds like to me that it was immaculately recorded.
Oh, wow.
And I think, I mean,
great.
I think it has to be. If you're dealing with acoustic instruments, there is a standard of quality now. And so I think that really kind of brings to mind the question, how was it recorded? Where was it recorded?
Yeah. So you just paid Ted Gainey, my friend and collaborator, a big compliment. It was recorded at his Palace on Wheels studio, which is way out in the country near Canton. And it was recorded by Ted, period. And he knows what he's doing, and he's not just a good engineer. He also he didn't ask me to do this, but I thought it was fair. He also got co-producer credit on the record because he and I really did collaborate on, you know, what would be good on this song, what take was good, and so on. He was definitely a partner. So his studio is pretty minimalist, but I agree with you. You wouldn't know it from the way the record sounds. I think it sounds really good. And acoustic instruments, people think, oh, well, they're acoustic, they're simple. They're notoriously harder to record well.
Yeah. Anybody who's ever tried to mic an acoustic guitar could tell you that.
There you go. Right. The trick is to make it sound good, but not sound like woofy, you know, and take that and multiply it by 10, and then you have the challenge of recording an acoustic bass, you know, a stand-up bass. And that's what we had on this record. Austin Sorey, who's just a brilliant bass player and backup singer, he played upright bass on every song. And one of the things that I love about the record is listening to the upright sound on it. Austin played it great. You know, he's a great player. But Ted did a really, I thought, a masterful job of capturing it, because it is hard. You know, it's such a massive sounding instrument, and it's so low that it's real easy for it to be muddy. But it sounds, to me, to my ear, it sounds beautiful.
Well, I got to ask now, because you threw out the name Ted Gainey, and Ted sent me a box full of records a little while back, and I'm wondering, is Superchief, is it pressed on vinyl?
Yeah, it is, and I'll be glad to send you one. I don't know if it's in the box he sent you or not, but if it's not, I'll get one to you. Yeah, I did the last one, which is called Ocean Springs, on vinyl too, and it is more expensive and so on, but it was very satisfying. Part of that is just I like vinyl, so I wanted to put the last two out on vinyl. Another part of it is less and less people are buying CDs. And in fact, they don't have CD players in their car anymore. So if you are at a show, and particularly if you're trying to sell some merch to younger people there and you have a stack of CDs, they look at you like, what the hell you want me to do with that? You know, and they will buy a download. Usually not. Nobody buys downloads much, but people like vinyl, and I'm one of them. And so I've got some boxes full, and I've sold some, but it takes a while to sell them all. But it is really it's fun for me, and it's fun to listen to it because that's, I believe, my favorite format to listen to music on.
You're hearing a few tracks off of Eric Stracener's new album, Superchief, Gone and Left.
Yeah, I wrote that one last, I think. It's just sort of a made-up song about a woman out on a farm who, it doesn't have to be out on a farm, but just somebody who keeps trusting in the wrong type of people. And if I can brag on everybody who played on it, Will Kimbrough's guitar solos are great. Matthew McGee played all the fiddle on the record, and I kind of had that one in mind to be a sort of lyrically sparse song that had plenty of room for fiddle solos and guitar solos.
Darling, darling, how does your garden grow? Did you salt the seed away? Crows are calling your gentle lover's name. Another man who wouldn't stay. The bluest berries in the springtime. Golden apples in the fall. Falling, falling, who's gonna catch you now? One man is gone, left you all alone. Picked you blossoms in the summer. Sunflowers grew up to the sky. Falling, falling, who's gonna catch you now? Now that your love was left to die. The winter seizes up sunlight, and now you're lonesome to your bones. Falling, falling, who's gonna catch you now? One man is gone, left you all alone. One man is gone, left you all alone. One man is gone, left you all alone.
Coming up, is it worth it to leave the day job and become a full-time singer-songwriter and hit the road? You're listening to Eric Stracener on the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. You've got the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you each week by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. And this week, it's singer-songwriter Eric Stracener. Do you ever hope to leave your chosen profession and become a songwriter full-time?
I don't know. I mean, I just got back from for work. I had to go to Pascagoula, then Nashville, then Palm Beach, and then Oxford in 10 days. And it just wore me out. And my friend Will, who I was just telling you about, he tours all the time and is constantly playing shows all over. And producing things all over, and he is constantly traveling. And I don't know that I would want to do that, but I don't know. I'm really happy with the way it is now. I'm really content to make my little records and write songs that I like and put them out. And it's almost, when folks say nice things and buy records, it is kind of, I didn't think anybody ever would, for starters. I just wanted to, when I made the first one, I just wanted to do it. And I didn't think anybody would pay any attention. And for the most part, that's been true. But some people have. And it's just incredibly nice, and all musicians want to get noticed. I don't care what they say. They do want to connect with people. And that's why they do it. But it really almost surprises me every time I get feedback, because somebody took the time to listen, and it's really kind, and it's really generous when I hear folks respond. It's really I don't know, it's fulfilling. But on the other hand, you can't worry about that being your definition of success, because there's a lot of music out there, and there's a lot of good music out there. And for folks to even find you is kind of a miracle. And then, they only then do you get the chance to see whether or not they would like it. So, if anybody out there finds it and likes it, gosh, that's just like the bonus. The biggest bonus you could ask for.
And here's another bonus, another track from Superchief, The Sparrow. It's a minor key ballad is how I would classify that. You think that's fair?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I loved recording that one because I got to play electric guitar on it. All the other electric guitar was done by Will Kimbrough, who's, first call Nashville guitar playing badass. He's Emmylou Harris's guitar player, and a lot of other people's too, and a producer and all that. So Will had already done all his parts, and we decided to put electric on that one. And so I used Ted's, I think it's a 1964 Fender Jaguar. And
to play one of those.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was, and it wasn't just old and cool. It's a great guitar, and it's perfect for that kind of spooky, spy detective sound. But I think it's kind of a ballad. It's a spooky subject, I think. I started writing that one watching some sparrows in my backyard. It looked to me like they were gossiping, like going back and forth, telling each other where the birdseed was. And I started thinking, well, that's kind of how information makes the circuit. And my imagination took off from there, or at least my mind got out of the way. And that one just sort of, kind of wrote itself. And Jamie Weems, who played all the mandolin instruments on the record, played an octave mandolin on that one. And I just think it really adds to that song. I think it's really, like I say, it was meant to be spooky, and I think we pulled it off.
Don't worry, sweetheart, your secret's safe with me. I'll fly away like a sparrow and sing it from the trees. The flock will forage on the forest floor. Your secret makes the rounds. They're all night Tell me anything. Quiet now, my fingertips are pressed up against my lips. Oh, I would never sing. Quiet now, my fingertips are pressed up against my lips. Tell me anything. The sparrow picks all your feathers clean. You're naked and ashamed. Now he flutters through your very dreams. Never knew your name. Quiet now, my fingertips are pressed up against my lips. Oh, I would never sing. Quiet now, my fingertips are pressed up against my lips. Tell me anything. Tell me anything.
Where can people find you? Where can they find that music?
Sure. So in central Mississippi, the best place would be your local record store. End of All Music in Fondren has it. I have copies. You can find me pretty easily. You can go to shows. You can get streaming at Bandcamp or Spotify or Apple Music, and I think just about every other streaming platform there is. You can find me. I'm pretty easy to find.
The Indian summer road off in the west. The sky's turning timber wolf gray. There's laughing and singing and all of the rest. I'm dreaming of someone today. Dance, dance, they say to me. Dance till the last red leaf falls. Dance, dance for your memory. Dance in the Thanksgiving waltz.
The Blues and Arts Hour, brought to you each week on 103.9 WYAB by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. I'm Chris Davis. Tune in next Friday.